Do you want a piece of this convenience store action? Because if you do, today's your lucky day. I'm announcing a new service I like to call International Snack Pack. For a subscription service of $45, every month I'll send you a buck wild box of some of the most delish local snacks I can find. You'll also receive exclusive Patreon-only benefits, and if you sign up by December 11th, you'll get that first box by Christmas. So if you want to learn more, check out my link in the description box, and now it's time for your regularly scheduled program. What's up everybody, it's time for a convenience store ice cream tour in Tokyo, Japan. So I was cruising around the mean streets of downtown Tokyo, and truth be told, I was feeling a tad hungry. But I wasn't hungry for something that had actual nutritional value, I was hungry for a little ice cream. I mean, I've been spending my days working my ass off trying to earn a dime. The least I could do is treat myself. So I'm trying to find some buck wild ice cream varieties over here, and as you can see, we've got us a popsicle flavored like a melon bread. That was looking pretty interesting, but I'm not much of a popsicle man, so I decided to give that a pass. So let's see what else we got around here. We got an ice cream bar that looks like a damn zebra. That's pretty interesting, but it's not quite my style. And what's this? This looks mighty intriguing. We got us a sweet potato ice cream. I must admit, I do like sweet potatoes, so I think I'm gonna have to put this bad boy into my cart. Now about this time I started wondering, should I buy another ice cream? I think I should. Now this was some kind of mandarin orange action, which was okay, but I wanted something I could really sink my teeth into. And whoa baby, what do we got here? We got us a Pablo cheesecake mini ice cream bar. You best believe I'm gonna slam that mofo into my cart. Next up, I sprinted on over to a nearby 7 & Holdings because I felt like I needed access to even more buck wild varieties of ice cream. So let's see what we got here. We got us some Daifuku action. Basically, we got some cookies and cream ice cream inside a mochi. I think I'll put that into my cart. Next up, they got some cream cheese ice cream, always a classic. I've actually had this one before, and it's quite good, but I want to try something new today. Can you blame me? So what else is here? They got a Taiyaki Ice Cream. That's something I've never had in Japan. I think I'm gonna give it a go. Just gotta toss that puppy into my cart. Now I got 4 items so far, and that's usually where I stop, but fuck it. I can't say no to a matcha ice cream sandwich, can I? So I alley-ooped that puppy into my cart. I also jammed an ice cream crepe into my cart. Then I made my purchase and hightailed it the hell out of that joint. So I sprinted back to my apartment so fast I felt like my damn heart was about to explode, but not from overexertion, mind you. I felt like my heart was about to explode with a pure sense of joy. I mean, just looking at the sweet potato ice cream wrapper, how could you not be happy? The quality of this item looks so high that I'm actually feeling a tad off-nar, aka aroused for no apparent reason. And whoa, wait a sec, this thing is supposed to be a sweet potato ice cream, but it looks like a real sweet potato to me. Let me cut through this puppy and take a look from the inside. So how'd you like those cutting skills? Pretty impressive, don't you think? So let's take a look and whoa, wait a sec, that's a real ice cream? You coulda had me fooled. That sweet potato ice cream is looking so realistic that I just so happen to be at a loss for words. This thing's like a work of art over here, I'm kinda speechless. Anyway, enough with all the chatter, it's time to take myself a big-ass bite. So I savagely bit into that ice cream like the very fate of mankind depended on it. And after chewing on that thing for a while, I was kinda surprised. It actually tasted like a sweet potato. The skin part was made of a wafer, and the inside was made of sweet potato flavored ice cream. The only problem I had was that gooey layer at the bottom. It was just a tad too sweet for my liking. So with all that said, I think I'm gonna have to give this ice cream a 3 out of 5 dogs. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong, it does taste pretty good. I'm just a tad distracted by that honey-esque sweet layer at the bottom. I just find that layer to be a little bit out of place, but don't hold it against me. So next up on deck, I pulled out that matcha ice cream sandwich. Now, I'm not completely sure what to expect from this sandwich. Sometimes I get matcha items and they're bare bones back to the basics delicacies. Other times I get them and they're jazzed up with all kinds of crazy-ass matcha layers inside. So let's take a look at this puppy. Now, that outer layer looks kinda frosted. I don't know if it's covered with sugar or what the hell is going on, but it feels surprisingly soft. I have a feeling this is gonna be a pretty nice ice cream sandwich, actually. My Tonyo Byo sense is kicking in, aka my diabetes sense. So I cut that mofo in half and it's looking pretty nice. Then I started eyeing down that individual half before I jammed it down my throat and oh man. Holy dogs, did that hit the spot. Basically, this thing tastes like a standard ice cream sandwich with a Far East twist. I mean, the matcha ice cream itself is simple yet elegant, and that wafer? Let's just say it's soft as hell and succulent to the max. I think I'm gonna have to go ahead and rate this a 5 out of 5 dogs. I mean, I'm telling you, it's just that fucking good, sweetie buns, and in some small way, this ice cream sandwich completes me. So next up, I moved on to the next exciting phase of this blood sugar spiking adventure. Moving on to an ice cream crepe, to be exact. Oh, that's right, you heard me correctly, baby. We're moving into crepe territory. In other words, playtime is over. No more beating around the bush and no more fucking around, baby. We're getting serious about this Tonyo Byo action. So I looked at that crepe for but a moment and then I took myself a nice bite. And whoa, I was a tad surprised. That initial bite wasn't matching my ice cream crepe wavy dream sequence, let's just put it that way. The quality of that ice cream was much lower than I expected. So after I bit through that ice cream, I started making my way toward that crepe portion. I gotta be honest, the crepe itself was tasting quite nice. It was pretty soft and somewhat sensual, but despite all that, I think I'm still gonna have to rate this a 2 out of 5 dogs. I mean, it wasn't bad per se, I just can't see myself buying it again, can you blame me? So after taking myself just a few more bites for good measure, I decided to move on to the next exciting phase of this mini diabetes quest. So next up, we got us some Daifuku action. In other words, we got some cookies and cream ice cream jammed inside some rice cake. Now, I don't exactly know who came up with this idea, but I think it's safe to say that whoever did must have been some kind of diabetic savant. Anyway, I opened that puppy up and it was a tad frosty on the inside. Maybe it was the Daifuku delivery boy's first day because it seemed like somewhere along the line someone fucked up. I get the impression this thing thawed out ever so slightly, then refroze. I mean, don't point your finger at me, baby. I put that thing inside my freezer as soon as I got home. Anyway, I'm trying to move on with my life over here, but it seems like that mochi is a tad messed up somehow. It's sticking to my fingers. Nevertheless, despite that messed up mochi, the ice cream on the inside is still looking pretty nice. So I feverishly bit down on that sticky Daifuku and whoa, baby. As messed up as that stickiness may be, the overall taste was still quite nice. That ice cream on the inside was tasting pretty damn creamy, and the fact that the whole thing is encapsulated inside some mochi makes it all the better. So taking all that into account, I think I'm gonna have to give this a 4 out of 5 dogs. I mean, it tasted pretty nice, borderline life-changing. The only problem was the stickiness of that mochi. If it wasn't for that little problem, it might have been a 5 out of 5. It was just that fucking good. Anyway, I decided to move on to the next exciting phase. After all, I was kind of afraid that this Beatus quest would come grinding to a halt if I lost that momentum. I mean, after all, you know what they say, Beatus quests are kinda like sharks. They have to constantly move forward or else they die. And what I didn't want on my hands was a dead shark, so I got mentally prepared to jam that Taiyaki ice cream down my throat. But before I did that, of course, I had to cut that taiyaki in half. I don't know what it is about cutting these ice creams in half. Somehow I derive a strange sense of pleasure from doing it. It must have something to do with the fact that I'm in the motherfucking zone, baby cakes. Anyway, that taiyaki head was looking mighty fine, so you best believe I took myself a decent bite. Now I gotta admit I was kinda surprised. I guess eating all those normal taiyakis must have conditioned my brain to expect red bean inside. Instead, this thing had vanilla ice cream and chocolate inside, and to be perfectly honest, I welcomed the change. However, despite all that taiyaki wasn't quite tasting as exciting as I had expected it to. Main problem I had was that outer wafer was tasting a tad dry, in my opinion. So with all that considered, I think I'm gonna have to give this a 3 out of 5 dogs. I mean, it wasn't exactly the taiyaki I dreamed it would be, but nonetheless, it was pretty decent. You might even say it was ever so slightly existence-enhancing. Anyway, last up on deck was a Pablo mini ice cream bar. Now, truth be told, I'm a pretty big fan of the real Pablo tart, so I was pretty excited to try this one out. So I cut open that packaging and got ready to liberate the ice cream bar. Then I pulled that puppy out all nice and gentle-like, and wow, just wow, look at that ice cream bar. Call me crazy, but I think that ice cream bar has some serious oishi potentiality. So I gave that ice cream bar a nice cut, you know how I do. Next I started examining that piece all up close and personal-like. In fact, I was getting so close I felt like I could see the very depths of its soul. And before I even realized it, I was savagely biting down on that bad boy. Then after letting those flavors simmer for a second, I carefully contemplated the taste. And I gotta say, on one hand it tasted simple, on the other hand it tasted complex. There was certainly a kind of cheesecakey flavor going on, there was no doubt about that. But the other flavors, they were a bit harder to detect. I thought I could taste some subtle notes of toffee and marmalade, but I don't know exactly. The bottom line is, I thought it was pretty enjoyable, so I figured I should give that bad boy a 4 out of 5 dogs. I mean, it was tasting pretty damn good, but it doesn't quite make the cut of the upper echelon of ice cream bars, that's all I'm trying to say. Anyway, that's about it for this convenience store tour, but if you want a piece of this exotic food action, then you might want to consider subscribing to the International Snack Pack. I've got a link to more info about that in the description box. And as always, thanks for watching this video. Why don't you leave a comment? Let me know what you think.